Hey everyone, good afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Arel Winninger from the Central Oregon Daily Weather Center. We've had some warming today, also a little extra smoke because of a prescribed burn, and more warming is expected, and it's heating up as we wrap up the work week and go into the weekend just before a big change up in our weather pattern. So we're going to take a few minutes, do a deep dive into your most reliable forecast, take a look at what's been happening today, why there's a little bit of smoke, where that prescribed burn is, what's going to happen through the next couple of days, and take you all the way through the 7-day planner. So let's start off with just what it looks like outside. Under tons of sunshine, we have a few clouds. Now, there is some haze across Central Oregon. You can see that in the Bachelor camera overlooking Tumlo Mountain and Ben's on the other side of that, and that's because of a prescribed burn. This prescribed burn is just to the west and southwest of Ben. I'll show you what I'm talking about on a map, but the only camera that really swung around to grab that from the Oregon Hazards Lab was a Pine Mountain Observatory camera, and it got a pretty good view, and I was able to get this time lapse for you. Now, we started the clock around 1 p.m., 2 p.m., and just playing it forward, it shows that the fire smoke plume got pretty decent, and this is actually going to cause some periods of reduced air quality for parts of the high desert tonight, maybe even some spots getting down to poor air quality, and that went all the way through this afternoon. So here's what we know. The Central Oregon Fire Info, that's the interagency group that for Central Oregon that really manages our fires and does everything. They have a Twitter account, and they started the test fire earlier today. Then by this afternoon, they had a couple pictures on the ground and what was happening, what a lot of us could actually see. But if we notice, winds have mostly been out of the north and the northwest today, so that's been pushing a lot of that smoke further to the south. But here's where that fire is located. And it is, like I said, just to the southwest and west of Ben. The reason I use both southwest and west is because, remember, Ben's city limits come all the way down past Knott Road and a little bit further to 7th Mountain, and it's just west of that. Now, it's 5 miles north of Sun River and south of the Cascades Lake Highway. Again, that prescribed burn was set to be 111 acres, and this is why we have some of that reduced air quality. But as of just after 4:45, we still have good air quality when it comes to the hourly average through Central Oregon. But let's go ahead and look at that smoke forecast model. You got a glimpse of it earlier, but that's just what's been happening so far. Now, here through tonight, smoke gets pushed a little further to the south, but around 9 to 11, we're going to see winds taper off and begin to shift. They swing around to the south and southwest. That pushes a lot of that smoke back up into the Tri-County area. So that's why I'm really hitting on the areas of reduced air quality or periods of reduced air quality, because that smoke is going to be rolling back in to Central Oregon. Now, zoom out, there are a couple other prescribed burns that we are continuing to track, not just in the state but in the region. So let's go ahead and just focus on everything else. Take the smoke out of the equation. Looking at satellite and radar, this is a blend on satellite of visible and infrared. Not much happening over the Tri-County area, and our next cold front is still well out over the Pacific Ocean. Now, it's slowly rolling this way because of a ridge of high pressure. That high pressure is almost pushing back. It's what we call a blocking high, and since it's blocking, it's breaking apart this cold front quite a bit. Switching gears, looking at infrared satellite, and I put an enhancement on it so we can really tell where those tall clouds are. You can see them all the way on the right side of the screen, but when it comes to our front, not really that tall in most areas. Now, some spots it is, and there's a little bit of moisture wrapped up pardon me, in this cold front still. And by the time it gets here, the mountains absorb most of the moisture, but some of it rolls into the Tri-County area. Flipping it, looking at more satellite imagery, we do have water vapor, and there's a dry slot of air in the lower atmosphere right over parts of Central Oregon and Eastern Oregon. Where we have that cold front, it's not as dry, but it dries out on the back side of it. Pardon me. Now, high temperatures in the last 24 hours, mostly in the 70s with a few 60s. We are still at that. It is 75 at 4:51 p.m. in Warm Springs, 70 in Madras and Redmond, 72 in Ben. So close to, just not quite where I thought that high was going to be. Yes, this time yesterday I was calling for 73 degrees. We got close, just not quite there. Temperatures are running between 4 and 8 degrees warmer than 24 hours ago, and this warming is not over yet. So let's look at a forecast model, this one focusing on geopotential heights. It takes a thickness and helps us know where the bullseyes are, where the high pressure is, where the low pressure is. In between is the fronts, and where we can kind of make out where we have some cool air advection and warm air advection. So here through the day tomorrow, we warm up a little bit more. And this weak front is approaching Central Oregon. It begins to break apart. Mountains absorb most of the Cascades, but some sprinkles make it into the Tri-County area, then it just fizzles out. It just continues to battle that high pressure, and the high pressure wins in the end. Now, there will be a dip in temperatures Thursday, but highs still in the 70s, still well above average for this time of the year. And that average high is 63 in Bend near the airport and 66 at Roberts Field. And we keep that sunshine into Friday. Now, some additional clouds are expected. Temperatures skyrocket at this point. We're looking at 80s with some 70s for most of Central Oregon. So lower 80s, but still well above average for this time of the year. Not quite near record highs yet, but it stays. That heat stays with us until we hit the weekend. And by Sunday, we see another shift in our weather pattern, a little bit more active at this point. Some of the long-range forecast models have been hinting at this for several days, and it's finally catching up with us. So after we get into the weekend, we have a dip in temperatures. Rain is expected. Stronger winds are in the forecast, and ultimately, we are looking at a huge cooling trend that knocks us back below average for this time of the year. And oh, I forgot to put it on this graphic, but Sunday is Mother's Day. Don't forget. Now, let's look at a forecast model. This one's a little bit different. Before we were looking at geopotential heights. Right now, this is the typical one we show on air. Clouds, rain, wind, speed, and direction, and where we have those surface features. So here through tonight, it stays clear for the most part. By tomorrow, increasing clouds, and this is one of the forecast models that's actually showing some of that shower activity, and it pops up during the afternoon hours. Notice it's very hit and miss, and then that front pushes through. By Thursday, we start off with some clouds, and we get our clearing. We're back to sunshine with that dip in temperatures. By Friday, mostly sunny, and then by Saturday, still a whole lot of sunshine, some in and out clouds expected, and no precipitation in sight. Friday and Saturday are when our warming trend peaks in the lower 80s, and then Sunday we turn our attention to our next system. So let's go ahead and look at the GFS. This is a long-range forecast model. Typically, you hear forecasters refer to the GFS, the GEMS, or the European model, and we're just using the American one. And it shows that cold front, a weak cold front pushing through on Friday, but again, this is going to be a dry front. Winds get breezy at times, in and out clouds are expected. Then another system breaks down as it starts to make landfall on Saturday, so indeed more cloud cover, but no precipitation by Sunday. That's when we start to see our next chance of some scattered, becoming widespread shower activity when we get our dip in temperatures and stronger winds are expected. And now through Monday, a couple of the forecast models are hinting at some thunderstorm potential. I'm just not buying it. Temperatures are dropping too much, and our dew point is dropping as well. And dew point is like temperature fuel. The higher it is, the better chance, or not temperature fuel, but thunderstorm fuel. The higher the dew point is, better chance of thunderstorms. So we're just looking at cooler conditions, stronger winds, rain showers, some snow in the higher elevations, and by Tuesday, we start to clear out. But between now and Thursday at 11 p.m., we are looking at some showers. So let's focus on another forecast model. This one's taking it little by little, starting Wednesday at 11 a.m. Before we even get a hint of a chance of a possibility of any showers, and we're dry. Through the afternoon, a few showers pop up on radar. Now, not all of it is going to reach the ground. Some of it will become virgus. Some of it is going to evaporate before it hits the surface. But a few sprinkles are going to be possible. That chance continues through Wednesday night. By Thursday, kind of backs down. Meanwhile, when it comes to winds through the day, we've had a light breeze, but notice most of those winds are coming out of the north and the northeast, though they're light, and that's why it's pushing that smoke further to the south, closer to Sun River. And our gusts, nothing to talk about. Now winds, this trend, everything to the left of that white line, that now line, is observed. Everything to the right of it is forecast, and through the day, it's just been a light breeze. By Wednesday afternoon and evening, winds get breezy because of that weak cold front rolling through, and then by Thursday, breezy at times, mostly during the afternoon hours. This is on the backside of that weak front after it fizzles out, that cooler day, right in the middle of our warming trend. So for tonight, 40s and some 30s, By Wednesday, we're looking at mid to upper 70s, few low 80s, and some sprinkles by the afternoon hours. Here's your 7-day planner. Thursday and Friday, we keep a lot of sunshine. Roller coaster temperatures are expected, but the warming trend finally peaks Friday and Saturday. We're looking at low to mid 80s, some 70s. Then Sunday, we're flipping the weather switch. And it's just there to remind us that spring is in charge and it's going to do what spring is going to do. Now, temperatures start to dip down on Sunday. There's been some discrepancy in the long-range forecast models about just how cool it's going to get. Some of them are bringing it down to the low 60s, others the upper 60s, so I kind of shot right in the middle. It's a transition day, and so we are going to see that day change as it gets closer to us every day, pretty much. Now, winds are going to be breezy for most of us. It gets wetter, it gets much cooler, and instead of near average, near 66 degrees, we're topping out on either side of 60 by Monday and Tuesday, but Tuesday is our next change up in the weather pattern. We start to see that pattern improve. We're looking at more sunshine, and our next warm-up is expected after that. So here's a quick rundown. Here are your weather headlines for this Tuesday, May the 6th. More sunshine and PM clouds Wednesday. Cool starts and warming days ahead, except for that weak front that rolls through Wednesday and Thursday. And then we're cranking up the heat again. By the time we get to Friday and Saturday, that's when we're going to be topping out in the 80s. Now, even though we're getting only sprinkles, we need the rain. The last 30 days we've been running below average for this time of the year, almost 0% in some areas of what we should be getting. Hasn't really impacted our year in review or our drought monitor. There is abnormally dry conditions west of the Cascades. They're the ones that are going to get most of those sprinkles tomorrow, but the real thing that's going to help out is if we get those showers Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. But that's the latest in weather. Join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News. We'll have the latest headlines and your most reliable forecast. That first show starts in just a couple of minutes on ABC at 5 o'clock. We'll see you then.